Hello again, my name is Rodney Reynolds and welcome to another video review. Today I will be looking at the Abit KD7-RAID Motherboard. What is included in this package is a floppy cable and two ATA133 cables. You also get two extra USB 2 ports, and this goes plugged directly into the motherboard. They've included a floppy disk with RAID drivers, some software and drivers on a CD, the manual, and the motherboard. This motherboard is based upon the VIA KT400 chipset. Let me now just go through and detail some of the key aspects about this motherboard. Right here is where the AMD CPU gets installed, and you can install up to 4 banks of DDR memory on this board. Here are the two IDE controller channels, and right here is the floppy controller. They've included RAID on this board, High Point 372 RAID, and that's right there. Included also are 6 PCI slots and 1 AGP slot. For power connections on this board, there's 2 of them. There's one right here and one right here. And also there are 4 fan headers on this motherboard. There's one right here, 2 here, and 1 down right here. Right here is where you plug your PS2 keyboard and mouse into, 2 serial ports, 1 parallel port, and they also have included 6-channel audio on this motherboard, as well as an optic out. Also, they've included a LAN port and 2 USB 2 ports. Let me now have a peek inside the BIOS and have a look at some of the key features. First, the advanced BIOS features, and in here you can adjust the first boot, the second boot, and third boot devices. For instance, here I've got the hard drive as the first, the second CD-ROM, and the third the floppy, but again you can adjust these as you wish. And next in the advanced chipset features is where you can go to adjust the memory timings, the AGP and P2P bridge control, as well as the CPU and PCI bus control. Also, you can enable or disable the system BIOS cacheable, as well as the video RAM cacheable. Now, going back here to the top to the memory timings, you can go in here and you can do a manual setting for the memory. For instance, you can manually adjust the CAS latency time or the bank interleave. However, you can do a BiSPD option or a turbo option or an ultra option. Also, further down here you have an enhanced performance option. You can enable or disable that, and also there is all kinds of other memory options in here. And going on to the AGP and P2P bridge control, in this area you can adjust the AGP aperture size, the data transfer rate, as well as the fast write and other options for the video. And within the integrated peripherals part of this BIOS is where you go to enable or disable all those things that are on the motherboard. For instance, the different controllers, controller 1, controller 2, as well as the onboard LAN, the onboard RAID, the onboard audio, and so on. This BIOS also has a PC health status area, and within here you can monitor all the different temperatures, the fan speeds, and the different voltages. Also, you can set a CPU shutdown temperature. This means that when the system reaches this temperature, for instance, I have it at 70 degrees Celsius, if it was to reach that temperature, it will shut down automatically. Also, you can set a CPU warning temperature, so it will warn you before the shutdown actually happens. And also, you can shut down the system if the fan was to fail. There's an option here to enable or disable that. My favorite part in this BIOS is within the soft menu 3 setup, and within here is where you can go to overclock your CPU. First of all, the front side bus setting here can go all the way up to 250 megahertz. Next, the ratio. You've got 3 different ratio options: 3:1, 4:1, and 5:1. I'm going to come back to this and explain it a little later on. Also, right here we have the multiplier, which goes all the way up to 22.5. And further down here we have the CPU voltage, and that goes all the way up to a whopping 2.325 volts. If you're going that high, you're going to need water cooling. That's extremely high for a setting on the CPU voltage. Also, the memory voltage here can go all the way up to 3.25. So how does this ratio work? Well, for example, if you have a front side bus setting of 200 and the ratio of 5, 2, and 1 selected, you'll get different AGP and PCI speeds depending, of course, upon the ratio. So how does it work? Well, take 200. If you divide that by 5, you're going to get 40. You end up with 40, multiply 40 times 2, you're going to get 80. and 80 is your AGP speed. If you multiply 1 times 40, you're going to get 40 megahertz for PCI speed. Now, what about you want a higher AGP speed? Well, I would not advise it in this case. Since you have such a high front-side bus setting, for example, here, if you select the ratio 4, 2, and 1, you're going to end up with an AGP speed of 100 megahertz and a PCI speed of 50. The AGP speed in this case would be too high. But you can just go through these and really tweak them and get your system as high but as stable as you can. And the CPU result is 6,347. And the CPU multimedia result is 9,460. And at a front-side bus of 200 megahertz, the memory result is 3,178. And the RAID 0 result is 49,438. The PC Mark 2002 results are: the CPU score is 5,769, the memory score is 6,253, and the hard drive score is 1,663. The 3D Mark 2001 second edition result is 12,261. These are the settings that I will be using for the Quake 3 Arena demo. A video mode of 1280 by 1024. The color depth is 32-bit. The geometric detail is at high. The texture detail is at max. The texture quality is 32-bit, and the texture filter is trilinear. And the result is 111.1 frames per second. These are the benchmark settings that I will be using for the Comanche 4 demo. A screen resolution of 1280 by 1024. The bit depth is 32. Texture compression is checked. I've disabled the VSync, and hardware shaders are checked. And the result is 41.87 frames per second. In the XS Mark, I will be using all the default settings except for a screen resolution of 1280 by 1024 at 32-bit. And the result is 3,984. The Unreal Tournament 2003 results at a screen resolution of 1280 by 960. The flyby is 137 and the bot match is 54. If you're in the market for a motherboard that's very well priced and it overclocks very high and it has onboard RAID, onboard LAN, onboard audio, and so on, this would be the board for you. Overall, this is a kick-ass product. Again, my name is Rodney Reynolds, and this has been another video review. Be sure to check back very soon. I will have a brand new one for you then. Also, be sure to pop into my website at www.3dgameman.com, and while you're there, you can go in and register in the forums. If you haven't already registered, registration is completely free. Until the next time, take care.